All right, people, let's have a look at our sine equation and how these different numbers affect our equation. So up here, I have the basic equation with my numbers that I'm going to change built in already. So Desmos lets us to add sliders, which allows us to change the graph as I want. So right at the beginning here, I have the amplitude. If I want to change my amplitude, all I need to do is increase this number. And then there I go, my amplitude gets bigger, and I guess I can make it smaller as well. If I want to move my graph sideways, I can start to use this number, and that just changes where my graph starts. Let's slide it back to 1, we'll slide that one back to 1. Okay, looking at the wavelength. If I want to change the wavelength, then I change the C value, what I have divided by. Oops. Okay, I can make it longer and longer and longer on this one. We've got a limit of 10 before we stop. Take it back to 1. And finally, I can change my midline. I can move my graph up and down. So for our example of the waves on the boat, we had a amplitude of 1. We had a beginning point of 4.5, and I'll explain why that's 4.5 in a moment. We had a period of, well, I'm not going to be able to get up to 12, so I might not be able to use this one too well. And our midline was at 1.2. So there's a reasonable approximation of it. Let's see if it does go through 7.5. It's not going to, because my wavelength is wrong at 10. I might just physically change that to 12 just to see what is going on here. And there is my equation now. So is it starting at 7.5 high tide? No, that's right. I needed to go to minus 4.5. So I'm going to take that down to minus 4.5. Naturally, it goes through a value of 3 being high tide. So I've shifted it sideways. So there is my high tide now. So that is, okay. It was 1.4, wasn't it? Okay. So 7.5, 2.4 being my high tide, and down here to low tide at 1:30 or 13 and a half hours. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction on how I can have a little play with my graph just using these variables in Desmos. That is all for today. We'll catch you next time.